Aloha, this is Tom Lesher with the Weekly Paleo Report. I think this thing is on. Well, I shouldn't say aloha, I should say howdy, partner. Because I'm here, if you can notice those rocks and boulders behind me. I am in Boulder, Colorado. The days of the old Wild West. Reminds me of my buddy. God damn. Reminds me of my buddy Clint Eastwood. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was an old Wild Western. And in that old Wild Western, I think it was in that one of his favorite lines was, one of my favorite lines was, "A man's got to know his limitations." Now that might have been when he was Magnum, but anyway. That does bring us to today's Paleo Report, which is for June 20th of the year 2012. It's an astrological report, and it's just tapping into the energy of the time as reflected through the planetary bodies, the cycles. We know this moon goes around once a month, the sun once a year. Well, Saturn every 28 years, Uranus every 85 years, Pluto every 248 years. Cycles and cycles and cycles and cycles. Wheels upon wheels upon wheels of time. Just like the inner workings of a fine Swiss watch or clock. Life goes on in a very orderly fashion, but we are not always conscious of the orderly fashion under which life is progressing. And that's why we have to have aspects like we're having now. Because it's time for us to become a little more aware of unconscious forces that lie within us. Studies have shown that 10% of the mass of our brain is consciously working. 90% is unconscious. So that's a big percentage of unconsciousness, even within our physical brain. And we have 2 planets. 3 planets deal with the unconscious. Uranus is the personal unconscious. And then Pluto. Pluto is the soul, which is also our deep, deep unconscious. It's the root chakra. Well, these 2 planets are aspecting each other exactly this weekend. And I've spoken about this many times, but today's report is really big on it because it is exact. Finally, Uranus is exactly square Pluto at 7 degrees of Capricorn and Aries. And this has been building. The conjunction was in 1965, 1966. Some of you may have been born at that time. And at that time, there was Martin Luther King who said, "I have a dream." And that dream is the Neptune unconscious Pisces energy. Another aspect happening this weekend is that Jupiter is coming around to square Neptune, which has returned to Pisces, the sign of dreams. It is time for us to reconnect with our dreams. This is today, in a couple hours, the summer solstice. The sun moves into the sign of Cancer, into the water sign. And we just had yesterday the new moon at 29 degrees of Gemini. I talked about that last week. It's history. Now we move into the moon is in Cancer. Tomorrow we have the sun and the moon and Mercury, 3 planets in Cancer. I want to talk about Cancer today. Cancer is opposite Capricorn, where Pluto is, and square to Aries, where Uranus is. So we're coming into this time, this space, as indicated through the astrological aspects, that has so much to deal with the process of individuation. It's time for the flock of sheep to scatter. We have been sheep. We have been asleep. We have been dreaming. We have been led by shepherds who have not always had our own individual best interests in mind. We have been led by religions, by churches, by political figures, by army generals, most of them men, led into separation consciousness. We've had 6,500 years of patriarchal conditioning, which was absolutely necessary. It's almost like we had to scatter and individuate and then to return, awakened, to share our unique gifts with each other. We are in this time of awakening, and part of this time of awakening is awakening to our individual internal feelings, our internal needs, how we are different. It's time to go to the beat of our own drummer. And that is what the sign of Cancer is about. I don't know if you've known any or have any. They're the last ones to get in the car when you got to go to school. They're the last ones to get out of bed. They're kind of in their own world. They're feeling their feelings. They're the ones to come to tears, to be emotionally moved. The moon rules Cancer. The moon is change. The moon is the subconscious, the watery realms that are changing. So this is a time, this month, the sun is there for a month, the moon is there for a couple days, and then it goes into Leo over the weekend and moves on to Virgo. But this time, the sun's there for a month. And what does that play into this Pluto and the Uranus? This Pluto-Uranus is going on for, hold on to your shorts, 2.5 years. These two planets move very slowly. They joined together in Virgo in the mid-60s. They've now come to 90 degrees square for 2.5 years. And they go out with a bang in December of 2014. Uranus actually stations, at the same exact degree. It sits there to get that final square in with Pluto. So this is a time where people's lives are falling apart. Our lives are falling apart. And this is a necessary part of our awakening. This is necessary for each of us. It's necessary for the flock to scatter. It's necessary for each one of us to tap into our deepest self. Aries is that self. Uranus is in Aries. It's squaring Pluto, which is the manipulative, powerful forces supposedly beyond our control in Capricorn. This is the banks, the government, the economy, the churches, the religious jihads, however you want to look at it. But that is nothing but a reflection of our own unconscious need to awaken and grasp the power that lies deep within ourselves. So as we go deep, as we feel our feelings, we tap into reservoirs of power. And here we have to look at the other thing. I hope I don't run out of time here. But it's a big day. So this is a big report. A lot of this change has to do with, and I've spoken about it before, this is the rebalancing of the masculine and the feminine, the yin and the yang, the light and the dark, the feminine, the yin, the dark, the earth and water, when it comes to the elements of astrology, is now re-emerging with Black Moon Lilith coming into the fore, leading the revolution as the feminine is empowered. That is, our life of feeling is our power now. This is part of the change. It's inner power. It's inner knowing. It is our feeling that guides us and leads us. And that also leads to the release of the old power, the old way. I love the card in the tarot, the Wheel of Fortune. Because that Wheel of Fortune, and if you gamble at all, you know that whatever is at the bottom comes up to the top. And whatever is at the top goes down to the bottom. And this is a time, what a perfect time for the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. It's almost like the patriarchy has culminated. It's at the top. The masculine is on its way down. The masculine is softening. The midday sun, the longest day of the year, is now they're going to get shorter. And at the very same time down here, that which has been slumbering deep down within, that which has been the dark midnight, the feminine forces, are coming up. When it comes to men and women, let us remember that we are both. Consciously and physically, we have one gender, and unconsciously, the anima and the animus, we have the other gender. So this can be a time where in both genders, feelings are becoming stronger. And our need to feel our feelings, our need to, the mind is more of the masculine. The feeling is more of the feminine. So it's time for the mind to give way to the feeling. It's time for the feeling to rise up and impregnate the mind with new ideas, with new creative impulses. So it's time for our mind, our ego, our masculine, to become more receptive and listen. And at times we could say humble. Part of that coming down, it's humbling. On the external, then, this can be that, men are needing, men are feeling their feelings more. And women are feeling their feelings more. However, due to cultural conditioning, women are encouraged to feel their feelings, and men are discouraged to feel their feelings. So it's kind of new for men to have these stronger feelings emerge, and they can want to hold them down, suppress them, control them like they've been taught or told. And that can cause a lot of confusion and a lot of identity crisis and a lot of distortion. The women who are used to feeling, now they've got more feelings. Now their feelings are stronger, and they are even more clear, and they are more sure, and they are more knowing than they ever were before. So, what are you dealing with here, We're dealing with, the feminine, and in some cases then, of course, the women, are really asserting themselves, and they can be threatening to the men. And the men, getting overwhelmed with these feelings, both from within and from the women that they're dealing with, who are used to them, are crumbling, are softening. It's like the women are hardening and the men are softening. Yikes. Let's not go too far with that one. We'll all be in trouble, as well as future generations. But so the thing here is that this is important. This is necessary. This is evolution. This is part of the balancing. This is part of the unconscious emerging into consciousness. So it has to deal, the way to work and manage through these times is to trust your feelings and trust yourself and trust your instinct and go to the beat of your own drummer. And with Jupiter square Neptune particularly, you have a dream. Follow that dream. Dream the dream forward. Dream the dream on. In your own way. Do not be a sheep. And if you are a sheep, it is time to scatter. Because each and every single one of us is totally unique and amazing. And it is our feelings that guide us into the reservoir of that unique, powerful self. So, the mantra for this week. I came hiking out here, I forgot my notes. I didn't have a mantra anyway, because I make it up sitting on the rock here. But the mantra for this week is, may the waters of feeling from deep down within me guide me through the changes before me. This is a time of radical change. This is a time of breaking things apart, of lives breaking apart, giving birth to new lives, to new ways, to new creations. May the waters of feeling from deep within me be my guide to the changes, through the changes before me. May the waters of feeling from deep within me be my guide to the changes before me. Namaste, aloha, so much love. Enjoy these times. They don't come back.